This is Meltdown Live, presented by MyBookie.ag. Use code NEXTROUND at MyBookie.ag for double your initial deposit. You sign on to make a deposit, they double it with code NEXTROUND at MyBookie.ag. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere. MyBookie.ag.
This is the Meltdown, as you just heard right there. Meltdown Live with you daily, 2 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Eastern. Thank you for being here with us live in the chat and also in your hearts. That's what's really important. If you consider yourself a proud Meltdonian, make sure you're subscribed, hit that notification bell so you never miss when we go live here on the channel. We greatly appreciate all of you for being out there and making this thing a reality. We thank all of our contributors as well. I am Tim Melton, host of The Meltdown. Joining me here in the studio is the one and only E.G. E.G.,
Hi, Tim.
how are you doing on this 17th day of April?
It is wonderful. Thursday, Friday Junior. Couldn't be happier.
Friday Junior.
Yep.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it. I've never heard Friday Junior before. I've heard Friday Eve.
Really?
I've never heard Friday Junior ever.
Oh.
But I'm happy to have heard it for the very first time here
What
on
I'm
the
here for.
Meltdown. Tyler Lionel John's the other half of the Meltdown here with us. Tyler, how are you doing? We got Sinners today, my friend.
Yes, we do. I'm very excited.
Yeah.
This is on both of our lists for most anticipated movies of the year, and today's the day. We finally get to see if it lives up to our hype.
Oh, what a glorious day for sure. I'm excited about it. I will be shocked if it is not my favorite movie of the year thus far. But I'm going to be honest with you. If I don't really like it, I'll let you know tomorrow. We'll have a non-spoiler review on the live show. We'll have a spoiler-filled review that we'll be shooting for you tomorrow so you can enjoy it over the weekend if you check out the Michael B. Jordan-led Sinners from director Ryan Coogler. Here with us in the Culver studio, as promised, one of our absolute favorite guests of all time. That is Mr. Brian Pavlick. Pavlick, I normally see you in costume. What's going on here today?
Well, first of all, the irony of seeing Sinners on Monday, Thursday.
Yep.
Judas Iscariot would like a word.
Agreed.
But I'm blessed and highly favored as we are in the holiest of weeks. And yes, I'm usually in costume. The honest admission is I just forgot it when I came up here today. But because we can't pull the curtain back too far, this is the shirt, I believe, that I wore the first time you asked me to come into the Meltdown studio, Culver Studios, here on the Meltdown, and talk wrestling. So, yeah, I'm in costume. I'm in my debut outfit.
The bad thing for you is you did such a good job that you've been asked back numerous times since. You always make time for us, and we are very appreciative of that. But
Likewise.
it's very much one of those things where when I need to have a wrestling expert on the show, I'm hitting you up, and on a week like this with WrestleMania 41 hitting Vegas,
Yeah.
it is now time to talk all things wrestling for the remainder of the show.
High rollers in Vegas. Let's
I
go.
want to get right into WrestleMania 41. You've been the most downtrodden individual that I've spoken to that's a wrestling fan this week about WrestleMania 41. Tell me why.
Yeah, I'm not happy. Last year we had a lot of fun storylines, build, comebacks, all these good things that you even dedicated a special standalone edition, Pavlick six pack. Let's talk about 6 things, and we were able to come up with 6 true things I was excited about. I might have 1
Wow.
this year,
Wow.
maybe 2 if we stretch it. I mean, but it's a different year. We all know that, and storylines progress from time to time, and things happen and all that. But I think we've dropped the ball on a lot of these storylines that actually started last year.
I agree. It's been muddled. The storylines, the execution of them, it feels patched together
Yes.
to try to draw as big of a card as possible with some of the ingredients that they have. It all boils down to whether or not Cody Rhodes versus John Cena is going to draw people in. That's really it.
Well, there's not a lot of star power, and we can talk about that here in a second. But of course, one of the biggest traditions of WrestleMania weekend is you start off with the Hall of Fame. And even the Hall of Fame this year, there are guys that should be in, no doubt. Triple H, Lex Luger, yes, but it just doesn't seem that it's that important. We're inducting matches now. It's almost like we're just grabbing at straws for things. So it's just this watered down. I'll watch because I'm a lifelong wrestling fan. You might watch because you have nothing better to do on Easter weekend.
Mhm.
And we know EG's now fully invested into wrestling.
Oh,
so
yeah.
she might. Well,
You've
but
converted her.
yeah, but so it's just I don't know.
Well-
It is disappointing, but it will still be WrestleMania, and all the feels and memories will come back.
I want to really quickly look at night one. We don't know what order the matches are going to happen, but I want to get to the 3 matches of night one that stand out to me the most.
Okay.
That would be the World Heavyweight Championship match
Yes.
between Gunther
Yes.
and Jey Uso. In my opinion, there is no way Jey Uso doesn't walk away champion. Am I right about that?
Let me ask real quick, Tyler and EG, have you ever heard the names Gunther and Jey Uso?
Gunther from
No.
No,
In
no.
wrestling.
no, nope.
Tyler?
I have not.
I believe Tyler would love to yeet if he was given the chance to yeet. He would yeet.
He would be the king of yeets.
He would.
I think he would. He'd
It's a
be the Pat
compliment, I promise.
McAfee and all that.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jey Uso wins the Royal Rumble. It's supposed to be you get to main event WrestleMania, kicking off night one, not even day 2. You are the opening match of this whole thing. You can get into the semantics of it, and that's no reward. He has done nothing for me. I've been open about that. I think his brother could have done the same exact thing because it's a twin brother. Gunther was more dominant and fearful as an Intercontinental Champion than he was as a heavyweight champion.
You're not wrong
You
about any
guys
of
have
this.
your fun little match. Start, look dangerous, do your yeets to open up WrestleMania in the daylight of Las Vegas,
Right.
not even the nighttime. That's ridiculous.
But Jey Uso's going to win this match.
Sure.
I mean, you agree?
Okay, we weren't excited last year about Damian Priest possibly winning a championship match, right? There's lower expectations, less expectations for Jey Uso. Go, have fun, win. Yay, you won. Please, just
He sells a lot of merch.
great.
I'm just telling you. Okay. The WWE Women's Championship
Yes.
match. Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. Who do you have winning this one?
EG and Tyler, have you ever heard of Tiffany Stratton or Charlotte Flair?
No.
I know Charlotte Flair, that's Ric Flair's daughter. And when you said Tiffany Stratton, I assume there's no relation or any sort of association, but I immediately thought Trish Stratus.
Okay.
Trish Stratus.
Stratus, yes.
It's a
I
different
tried.
one.
Yes. I don't know if I can get away with this on the air or not, but similar bust size probably, and that's the only
Okay.
relationship to it besides the initials. Triff. Now see you got me flustered.
It's a tough name.
Let me throw in a for you too. Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany is what Charlotte Flair was 10 years ago. The up and coming blonde, and now we're just having this almost passing of the torch moment. However, we've now gotten into behind the scenes, do they really not like each other type territory?
Ooh.
Oh yeah, cat fight territory here. EG.
Seems that way.
Yeah, back when you were in, high school. Similar
Yeah.
situation. That well, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a Charlotte Flair fan. I love her athleticism. I think she's a way more talented performer than her father.
Oh.
And I said performer, not personality. There's a difference. The plastic surgery that she's had lately, I know we're not supposed to judge people on their looks, but she's 39 and looks like Nana. It's bad. This should have been just an athletic competition where they just should have shown off all their movesets, former gymnastics player, former volleyball player. But now we've muddled this thing into, do they really hate each other? Cat fight type thing. They've ruined what could have been just fun just because of natural
Who wins?
athleticism. I think Charlotte Flair.
I agree. I agree with you. I think Charlotte Flair
Yeah.
wins this one. She also was the winner of the Rumble, the Women's Rumble, and
Doesn't get a main event, does she?
why she's getting this spot, but she's not getting the main event. She's just getting a championship fight.
That's right.
And then the thing that will main event night one, Roman Reigns versus CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. Who wins and why?
Real quick, have we ever heard of the names Roman Reigns, CM Punk, Seth Rollins? One of the three?
Yes,
three
simply
of the
because of
three.
this show.
All 3 of the 3.
Yeah,
All three
all
of the
3
three.
of the 3.
Okay, so they've done
That's
a
why
good
it's main
job
eventing.
pulling in the peripheral fan. And that's the point of this whole thing. WrestleMania always did a good job pulling in these on the fringe fans, sports fans, because of different reasons. I've heard of these names as such. And now you get to the first match, like you mentioned, that these 2 youths, as Joe Pesci would say,
2 Utes.
yeah, the youths, they're finally pulled in. Okay, because they've heard of these names because of either the movies or just the things that they've been involved with, UFC and the things. I think this is a fun story. I think the three of them could have had a great mini tournament. In fact, that's how I would have went with this whole thing. Night one, I would have had two of them face. Night two, I would have had two more matches and made it like a single man, 3-man tournament. But they're going to put them all in one ring fighting over Paul Heyman, your boy. Just odd again. Why are we throwing in these weird stipulations? Just let the men do their thing and draw the crowds. I think CM Punk wins and sets up a dramatic ending of night two.
It's
We'll
the,
stay from there.
it's the first one we disagree on. I think Seth Rollins wins this match.
Okay. Does the winner leave with Paul Heyman?
I don't think the winner leaves with Paul Heyman necessarily, but I think Paul Heyman causes Roman and CM Punk to both lose somehow.
Ah, nice.
And Rollins is the one that ends up becoming the victor off of that. And then you have more drama
Yes.
with the wise man being in the middle of this
Terrible drama.
confrontation. So there we go.
Just weird.
All right, as we look at night two, there's once again 3 matches of night two that really stand out to me.
Okay.
I'm going to start off with this one, AJ Styles versus Logan Paul.
I know you've heard of Logan Paul.
Yep.
Okay. Have you heard of AJ Styles?
No.
Okay.
There you
Let me ask you a question. Have you ever heard of the once boxer Butterbean?
Oh yeah,
Nope.
Never know Butterbean?
I
Okay.
love Butterbean.
Okay, so back in WrestleMania 15, Butterbean was invited in as a celebrity type to, go against Bart
Yeah.
Gunn in a brawl for all. And if you ever want to see a man lose his life on camera, go watch that knockout.
It's a real
It
boxing
is-
match.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
cringy how he just knocks him out. But here you go. Logan Paul drives traffic. People don't like Logan Paul, but boy, he was made for wrestling, and wrestling was made for Logan Paul. We talked about that last year. I think this is going to be a fun match. AJ Styles is older than me, still looks great. I'd love to be like AJ Styles right now, but fun match. I think Logan Paul has the momentum and the future ahead of him to win this match.
AJ Styles gets the win in this one, in my opinion. And it's probably going to be by disqualification or something like it.
with me all you want, Monsoon. This is your show, and I'm just hosting with you.
That's good. That's good.
The governor.
I think AJ Styles ends up winning this one, but I'm interested in that one
The Battle of the Forearms.
for
They'll
sure.
both be flying.
Fatal 4-way match for the Intercontinental Championship.
If you've heard any of these names, stop us.
Ron Breaker, Penta, Finn Balor, Dominic Mysterio.
That's Rey Mysterio's son.
Okay.
He was-
Incorrect.
he
It
was-
is Eddie Guerrero's son.
Oh my God.
What?
Just a little
That's-
wrestling.
It's a wrestling.
Okay, can
gimmick.
I counter with raise your hand or speak up if you've ever
the
heard?
custody of Dominic.
There you go. Raise your hand or speak up if you've ever heard these wrestlers. Road Dogg.
That's an old wrestler.
Yes. Gold Dust.
Nah.
Ken
Nope.
Shamrock.
Oh yeah, he used to be in UFC, like early UFC.
Val Venus.
Nah.
Okay. Who for Tyler compared to the one that he knew for this one?
Yeah.
And this is from the year he was born, WrestleMania 15. So once again, the buildup. These are great characters. If you ever go watch, Braun Breaker is the son of Rick Steiner, part of the Steiner brothers. Penta is one of the most famous luchadors in Mexican wrestling history. Prince,
Finn Balor. Yeah.
Finn Balor, Prince Devitt in the old days, is one of the most successful European wrestlers of all time. And then, like you said, Dominic Mysterio. So all 4 of these are great characters and personalities that have come along through the years, and they're thrown together in this traditional 4-way spot because they have nothing to do with them. Get as many people as you can in one match. I think it's actually going to be the best match of the weekend.
I think it could be.
Yes. And I also think Penta wins.
Dominic,
What do you say now?
Dominic Mysterio is going to win this
That's
because
okay.
he's the least likely on paper to win it,
This
which
is
is
true.
why he's going to walk away the champion.
That's fine.
And it doesn't take Ron Breaker being pinned in order for him to lose the championship.
Yeah.
So it will end up being Dominic Mysterio pinning Finn Balor for the win.
And he gets his Weasley first championship.
That's what's going to happen. Okay. Undisputed WWE Championship match. This is the big draw. This is the big one. This is the last one we're going to preview in depth here on WrestleMania 41, a 2-day event coming up. Cody Rhodes, the champion, won it last year at WrestleMania 40 over Roman Reigns with bloodline rules in effect and everybody
One of the
coming
top
out.
moments in WrestleMania history.
It was awesome.
Avengers Assemble.
It was amazing.
Mhm.
It really was. And now we get the follow-up a year later against heel John Cena. We've talked about this on the program before.
Did.
I said it wasn't quite working. We got some more promo work. It's a little bit better.
It is.
I'm still very excited for a WrestleMania main event, a true main event.
I agree.
But on paper, I don't know how this one's going to really turn out. I do think, however, there's a clear-cut winner in this. Pavlick, how do you see this one sort of playing out? Unless you have any questions for the panel.
Nope. Good match, back and forth. I don't think anybody interferes till the end. When The Rock, Travis Scott, your boy,
Travis Scott's actually one of the most interesting figures in all of WrestleMania.
back
coming up.
I heard he boxed Cody Rhodes' ears.
they show back up. And I don't know if they think they made a mistake by aligning with Cena. I don't know if they then think they could persuade Cody Rhodes to join their side. But I don't think Cena leaves with The Rock to close the show. I think either he has a change of heart or they have a change of heart. But I think Cena wins and is immediately confronted by, with his new manager, Paul Heyman, the winner from night one, CM Punk. Because if you remember in the infamous summer of Punk 2012, when Punk was threatening to leave the company, he was going to walk out of the WWE with the championship belt. We're going to reverse that in Cena's final year. Cena's going to win and threaten to walk out with the belt, only for Punk this time to play the role of Cena and play the role of the WWE hero that keeps the belt back.
Wow. I don't know how they're going to tell that whole story within the flow of those two nights, but I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
Does the belt, once Cena wins it, because I also believe Cena will win.
Mm-hmm.
I think he has to.
He has to.
Because you have to keep Cody White hot as well, and him chasing to get the belt back
Absolutely.
is a way more interesting storyline than him beating John Cena, who still has several months left on his run here.
That's correct.
So does Cena turn it back into the spinner belt?
I think to piss off people, yes.
It would.
I think he does because he's going into the full heel mode, and I think he will do that.
Does he fight dirty at WrestleMania in night 2? Do we see him using tactics
He
that
will bring out either the brass knuckles or the chains from the Doctor of Thugonomics era.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Do we see Stone Cold make any appearance in ring over the next 2 nights?
Appearance? Yes. Maybe he just drives around his little ATV again, just stirs up the crowd for something like, oh, I don't know, Logan Paul. I don't.
Everybody thought that Austin was going to be in that Undertaker spot last year. He was supposed to be in that Undertaker spot last year.
But weren't you happy when the gong of the Undertaker dropped on our faces that night?
Yes, but if the glass shatters for Austin, it's a billion times bigger pop.
They didn't want to take it away from Cody Rhodes. See, this is the conversation.
I think it didn't work out scheduling wise. And
You guys
now,
hanging in there, Tyler?
Yeah.
Okay, you were having fun.
now,
Like Undertaker.
Yeah.
now, I'm not saying I don't like Undertaker. It's just Austin belonged in that spot.
He did.
I'm just wondering if they make good on it this time around and Austin ends up becoming the one to make the glass shatter.
Not a problem. I think it'd be great, but
Speaking of the glass shattering,
uh-oh.
oh my gosh.
Uh-oh.
Look who's here cashing in their money in the bank briefcase.
Slam the door, why don't
Okay,
you?
you get to pick one person. You get to pick. Okay, this is accepted. Who are you picking?
Cash
to
it
love?
in.
Thank you.
Oh, nice.
No, supposed to be defeated.
Yes.
Okay, EG has officially been knocked
to be
out
set.
of this WrestleMania discussion.
Yeah.
How's the Braves doing? I've watched your show, but I haven't watched the Braves.
I don't
You're
like
doing
that line of
great. Thank you,
questioning.
Pav.
Was it the other night? 18 strikeouts? That's a record, I think.
Oh my gosh, I don't think you've made any friends
Leaves
with.
the room.
You've made no friends with Emily Grace.
But at least we got an expert in now.
We do.
Well,
I'm excited about this.
since Brian Pavlick is here, I think the Culver studio is now turned into the danger zone. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah.
This is good.
So here's what we're gonna do. We just previewed WrestleMania 41.
I was listening.
Will you be watching WrestleMania 41 this weekend?
I think so. It's on Easter weekend,
Easter night.
so we'll see.
Okay.
There's a 2 specific matches that I do want to really see.
Which are?
Seth, Roman, and Punk,
Okay.
and Cena,
So
and Cody.
the 2 main events.
Yeah, Gunther is my guy. He's
You
my
don't wanna see-
favorite.
you
He's
don't-
my favorite wrestler going. But I'm with Brian. That doesn't do a whole lot. for me, that matchup.
the whole
the Gunther, Sheamus, Drew McIntyre triple
yes.
threat, was that last year or the year
It was
before?
2 years ago, I
Yeah.
believe.
phenomenal.
Match-
One of the best WrestleMania matches of all time.
Yeah, it definitely gets praised as being that. I want to tell you about three of the best dentists of all time.
I want to hear about them.
Here we go. That is Dr. Brian, Dr. Jeff, and Dr. Nolan over at Alabama Dental Associates. They're located on Grants Mill Road, and they can give you a 5-star smile there at Alabama Dental Associates, providing you all sorts of services when it comes to staying on top of your dental health. Maybe you have some major work that needs to be done. Maybe you just need to get on top of those regular cleanings. You can make that happen at Alabama Dental Associates, as they are standing by right now, ready to make you a patient. I'm a patient there. You could be one too. If I can fit in the chair, you can too. Over at Alabama Dental Associates, 205 956 8977. That's 205 956 8977, or visit alabamadental.com, where they look forward to seeing you. It is now time for maybe my most anticipated Meltdown countdown of all time.
Mercy.
And that's not taking a shot at any other Meltdown countdowns. That's just saying that this one, I feel like, is going to have a lot of energy behind it. I'm very excited, and it is Brian Pavlick's 5 favorite WrestleManias of all time.
I love it.
So, Ush is here as someone that is a diehard fanatic
He'll
wrestling
be my
fan.
Bobby the Brain. He'll provide some color commentary where needed.
He's been carrying this briefcase around for years, ready to
Years.
cash it in.
Yeah, years.
And here we are.
Just waiting.
Here, by the
for
way,
my mom.
Rumacube, what?
It's a contract saying that
What is it? He can cash in and come on the show whenever he wants.
That is correct.
Nice.
It has now been cashed in.
Let's go.
Are we starting with number 5?
We are starting with 5.
Let's do
number
it.
5. Let's just a brief honorable mention to any WrestleMania that ended in 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, because they all had the mega happy endings. We had the Bret Hart WrestleMania 10 after losing to Owen Hart. WrestleMania 20 was the incredible Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit ending. Chris Benoit, better days. WrestleMania 30 was WrestleMania with Daniel Bryan, and then, like we mentioned, Avengers style WrestleMania 40. So any WrestleMania that ends in 0 is always going to be a must watch. But number 5, WrestleMania 19. This was Seattle, Washington. I'm a big fan of the West Coast WrestleManias because the daylight is still there. But the reason why this was important is because we were truly in the first Raw SmackDown brand split. So you had the Raw announcers, the SmackDown announcers, you had Raw announcers, you had SmackDown stories, all these things all tied together. And the reason why I'm particularly interested in it is because there were 5 one-on-one matchups in a row. And think of this final 5 stretch. Well, first of all, before you even get to that, it was Rey Mysterio's first WrestleMania. So I think it's important. And then I think we got a picture slideshow here of things, Tyler. But Limp Bizkit, the WWE's favorite band, played The Undertaker to the ring, Roland style. Awesome. 2003 Limp Bizkit, can't be touched. They even had the Miller Lite Catfight Girls. Ush remembers those commercials. He loved them. But the final 5 matches, Shawn Michaels versus Chris Jericho. Could have main evented anything.
Yeah.
Triple H versus Booker T. Could have main evented. The iconic Hogan versus McMahon match. Remember the one with, I think you got that picture of McMahon peering up with the blood all over his face. Also featured a returning Roddy Piper. It was amazing. Then you had Rock Austin 3.
Yeah.
And then your main event that night was Brock Lesnar, Kurt Angle, the infamous missed shooting star press where Brock Lesnar basically did a 10-foot landing handstand and lived to tell the tale. But think about that. 5 matches, that closing stretch of those 10 competitors, those entertainers in WrestleMania. Never before will we ever see anything like that again.
So this was March of 2003 at Safeco Field in Seattle. Any memory of this one, Ush?
I think it's the first outdoor one they had done since WrestleMania 9.
I believe you're right.
So that's commonplace now, but it was really cool looking to have it outdoors. To me, it was about 3 matches. Rock Austin 3, which is Austin's last match.
That's right.
Jericho and Shawn Michaels, which probably was the best match of the night.
Shawn Michaels' first WrestleMania back since his back surgery.
It was a great match.
Those two had such good chemistry together. And Kurt and Brock. So you got 3 matchups there. They all had great chemistry together. Rock and Austin are tied together forever. Jericho and Shawn Michaels had some really great matches later on as well. And then Kurt and Brock were so tied together. So that one,
Just that
it was a good
natural
one. Yeah.
wrestling ability that transformed into a pro wrestling environment. Just too unbelievable.
A great start there. The attendance was 54,097 souls in attendance for that one there at WrestleMania 19. Where are we going for number 4? Unless you've got another tidbit.
Yeah, we're going back in time to 1992, and this was WrestleMania 8. This is my number 4. So Mania 8, we are now what was originally supposed to be the end of the Hulk Hogan era in WWF. We were beginning to see some new stars starting to rise up and all that. This was the original double main event. So CM Punk, you can main event and not be the last match. But it was in the Indiana Hoosier Dome. Now, there's something about these dome stadiums in the daylight that I just love. The aesthetics, the crowd sizes and such with the scaffolding and all the lights and stuff. It's just a cool set. And especially before you had these big clunky stages when you just had one small entrance where you could truly fit thousands more people in, where the stage would just be taking up a whole section like you'll see this weekend in Las Vegas. This is just a small little entranceway with the neon lights, so you could fit in more thousands of people right there in the entranceway. But this was the infamous one. Heenan and Monsoon were on commentary, the greatest commentary team ever, and it was just them all night. And some of the best 1-2-liner moments in WrestleMania history came from those two. Reba McEntire sang the national anthem. I infamously, Bobby Heenan calling her Reba McEntire because Tito Santana was coming down the aisle as soon as she got done. It was Shawn Michaels' first single match at Mania. It was the debut of Lex Luger. This was back when they were trying to start up the World Bodybuilding Federation. So Lex Luger made an appearance. You had Undertaker and Jake Roberts, Roddy Piper and Bret Hart. And then you had Randy Savage and Ric Flair, one of my favorite WrestleMania matches and build-ups, because they kept portraying Ric Flair as being the original guy who was with Elizabeth. And it set Randy Savage off, and they were going to unveil a centerfold of Elizabeth at the Indiana Hoosier Dome. Yeah, look at Tyler's wide eyes there. Yes, sir. All right, and that was the thing. But all of that happened in the first half of this show. All that excitement. It slowed terribly for the rest of it until you got to Hulk Hogan and Sid Justice. And this is the infamous story where Sid Justice was not supposed to kick out of a Hogan leg drop, but did, because this was Hogan's, quote, farewell match in 1992. Ha! Funny. And then what happens? The Ultimate Warrior returns. But if you look at this photo of the Ultimate Warrior, this is where the conspiracies started. That's not the Ultimate Warrior. He was more bulkier. His hair was longer. Who is that really under the paint? Is that Terry Von Erich, the Texas Tornado? Did the Ultimate Warrior die? Is this now? It wound up being the same performer, Jim Hellwig, but just noticeably sizably smaller because of the steroids trial that was about to start. Awesome WrestleMania, good storylines, especially that first half of all these iconic characters, the new and the old guard coming together.
And it's not WrestleMania 9, so it works out.
I
Because
love WrestleMania 9. I don't know what you're talking about.
you love WrestleMania 9?
It's just so fun.
Sorry.
It is really fun.
Okay. Some of the worst finishes in the history of WrestleMania there in
Yeah, I
WrestleMania 9.
agree, but it's just, as we said earlier, Alex.
There's two
the word of the
doinks.
day. I love the two doinks.
Let's go to WrestleMania 8, which made the list here. Any memories of WrestleMania 8 as a younger fan there, Illich?
Lots of memories. 19 wouldn't make my top 5. 8 would. My list would be completely covered in nostalgia, and this show has all the nostalgia for me. While not a great match, Jake slipping out of the tombstone and dropping Undertaker with the DDT was phenomenal. I loved heel Jake Roberts.
By the way, real quick, just a shout out. I want to appreciate Jake Roberts' DDT for a second. I mean, everybody does a DDT.
It's the best finish of all time.
But Jake Roberts'
Yeah.
DDT is worthy of the finisher motif.
Yeah.
When
asked,
gets the snake in the ring, you gotta work.
what does it stand for? Jake Roberts simply replied, "The end." Love the Hoosier Dome as well. I do wish they would have closed with Savage and Flair, which was one of the great feuds and was a great match. Hogan and Sid wasn't a great match, but the ending was great with the Warrior coming back. That was a great moment. And I loved Bret Hart and Roddy Piper's match was a really good
Awesome
one. And a big moment for Bret. So being a Bret fan, that was really cool. That was a good one. I liked that WrestleMania a lot.
So Bret Hart was your guy during this
Oh,
run.
he was one of. I liked a lot of people. I was still an old guard guy, so I liked Savage and Hogan and Flair and those guys. But I liked Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels for sure.
All right, good stuff.
Two
Let's move
things
on.
about Bret Hart: he could never say Summer Slam. He'd always say the Summer Slam, and he would never just say Goldberg. He'd always say Bill Goldberg. Bill Goldberg. Listen, Bill Goldberg.
He's a little salty about
Bill
Goldberg.
Goldberg.
I was gonna say, I think he's
Give the
called
Summer Slam.
he's called Bill Goldberg a
Bill
lot,
Goldberg.
other than just Bill Goldberg.
I don't like him.
Let's move on to number
Do
3.
you have a point there, Tyler? You look like you had something.
No, I was just
Oh.
thinking there. DDT standing for the end. I was trying to work out that acronym. I don't think it works.
Yeah, yeah. But a great line from Jake can pull off anything back then. It's great.
Hey, can you do an impression of Macho Man saying to make sure that the snake bites Jake first?
Yeah, have you heard that story? That is the funniest
Yeah.
story. How he's like, it better be devenomized, Jake, because if it bites me, I'm gonna, we're gonna have words, man, and you're gonna. Oh my god, I gotta see you. It's gotta bite you first,
Yeah,
man.
that's great.
Oh,
That's good stuff.
it's the
Okay,
greatest.
let's move on now.
Number
Number
3.
3.
This is everybody who will ever say anything about WrestleMania always talks about WrestleMania X7, not 17. And this has to be in a top 5, but there's a specific reason why it's in the 3rd for me, as you'll find out. But there is no debate that this was probably the best as far as storyline telling for the whole show. Any match had the audience in the palm of their hands, whether it was a single true wrestling match, a main event for the ages, or just characters thrown in. And X7 was amazing. First of all, it was at the Houston Astrodome, which just the old school Astrodome, fantastic setup for any sporting event. Wrestling, it was perfectly made for it. Had the long ramp, so of course the Undertaker was driving a bike down it and stuff. But this was the first 2-disc DVD that WWE put out. And immediately I bought it when it came out because it had ECW and WCW now under the WWF's control. So Paul Heyman was a commentary, or at the commentary test. WCW wrestlers were in attendance and such. So this was the first opportunity that you had to see just one true conglomerate federation now putting on their massive show. And it was the end of what they call the Attitude Era. And the highlights are the ones that you see for 25 years. One of my favorite is the Kane Big Show Raven triple threat, where they're in this hardcore match and they're actually backstage, and there's a spot where they're supposed to chase each other around the arena on golf carts. Like it's supposed to go on for a couple of laps. But Raven crashes the cart into a barricade, like just a few feet into it. And according to legend, he was this close to turning out the power of the whole pay-per-view feed and everything had he crashed a little bit further up the fence. So it's just an iconic, fun moment in a crazy match. A forgotten Chris Benoit, Kurt Angle match. Again, 2 pure wrestlers who just went at it and had a great time. The incredible storyline of the McMahon family, Shane purchasing WCW from his father, and then his father had this love relationship with Trish Stratus. There's your girl. And then Linda McMahon was comatose, who rise and kicked him squat and newts because that's my purse. I don't know you. And this whole story, and it just wound up being just incredible, all with Mick Foley refereeing. You can't tell stories like this and make up these characters anymore like this in these days. And then, of course, you had the table, ladders, chairs matchup with the Hardys, the Dudleys, Edge, and Christian, with that infamous moment of Edge jumping off the ladder and just crazy spear on Jeff Hardy. It was the first of 3 Undertaker Triple H bouts, but again, like I said, this was Biker Taker, so it's different. And then you had the culmination of it all with Rock and Austin, with Austin turning on The Rock and the fans, joining up with Vince McMahon, and all of this to the soundtrack of My Way by Limp Bizkit, the single greatest video package the WWE has ever done.
What's your reaction?
It's going to be on everyone's list. It was the peak, and it ended up being the ultimate moment for that era. And looking back, you see where it started to trend downward from there. And Austin turning heel business-wise was a bad decision. Creatively, it was great because it gave him this whole other character, which he got to explore, and he was fantastic in it. Rock Austin is a classic. TLC 2, that's the second. They did it the year before, but this one is the superior version. Absolute classic. And Undertaker Triple H, underrated, very good match. It was big. It was it had the big feel that WrestleMania had not reached that level of a big feel, in my opinion, since 3. And I think a lot of people compare it to 3, because it's in the stadium, it's a massive crowd, and you have the 2 biggest stars going at it.
Absolutely.
Good stuff. We move on to number 2.
So, like Kush, my list was going to be all nostalgia, really. I mean, I thought 19 would be as high as I go. And in fact, once upon a time, I actually ranked WrestleManias. Yeah, because you have Excel spreadsheets and you just start plugging in numbers as far as these matches and all that. And then I was very surprised this one showed up so high on my list. In fact, at number 2, and it's WrestleMania 35. Now, on the surface, you sit there and you say 35. That is just what happened there? Well, a lot actually. In fact, it was the last one night WrestleMania because this was 2019 at MetLife Stadium in New York. And it was the culmination of a huge movement in women's wrestling, in wrestling history. And this would be the first time that women would main event WrestleMania. But to get there, the first thing that happened was one of those cameo moments by Hulk Hogan, who came out to pop the crowd, get them fired up. And then one of my favorite WrestleMania, just kind of, it really wasn't meant to happen, but it did. Hulk Hogan's music is playing, and Paul Heyman is walking to the ring to Real American. Yes, the answer to the trivia, who else walked to the ring at WrestleMania to Real American, was Paul Heyman. And it was to set up Brock Lesnar fighting the first night of the match, because if he wasn't going to be in the main event, he wasn't going to stick around. And it wound up being an awesome start to a really good WrestleMania. It also had one of the funniest visuals ever. Remember, we were in this whole Shane McMahon best in the world random gimmick, and his partner was The Miz, and then he turned on The Miz, and we set up a match, and it's like, this isn't going to work. But then Miz's dad got involved, and it made for one of the greatest photos. Tyler's pulling it right there of Miz's dad squaring up with Shane McMahon. And it was just the funniest, like one of those internet meme moments that was ready to just explode.
He's ready to throw down. He's got his
awesome.
ring on and he's gold
I think
chain.
that moment led to The Miz having that reality TV show with Maurice, because they featured Miz's dad a lot on that show. So just hilarious. You also had Bayley and Sasha as the first women's tag team champions, losing, which the infamous story is they pitched a fit backstage because they were so protective of being the champs that when they found out they were going to lose, they cried and kicked and screamed on the floor. And Sasha Banks was never heard from in the WWE as much ever again. So it was just a crazy backstage story. And then you had Kofi Mania. I wasn't a big Kofi Kingston fan, but the movement that got behind Kofi Kingston, just kind of just random, organic groundswelling of crowd support. You wanted him to beat Daniel Bryan. And when he did, it was one of the first times in a long time the kid in me came out. And I actually jumped up and cheered from my living room couch because it was just great storytelling. So you had Kofi Mania. Lost in this whole thing is Roman Reigns' return match from his battle from leukemia. I mean, it was a throwaway match, but it was still, this guy just came back from leukemia and now he's wrestling a full-on WrestleMania match. You had the god-awful Triple H Batista match, where the highlight of that moment was Triple H pulling Batista's nose ring out with pliers.
Oh,
It was painful, but it winds up being Batista's final match in WWE. You had Kurt Angle's retirement match. And then, like we mentioned, the women's main event that only could have been done by the greatest pure women's athlete ever, Charlotte Flair, the hottest act at the time, Becky Lynch, and the baddest woman on the planet, Ronda Rousey. Putting those three together, it should not have worked as well as it did. And I think it was the only combination that could have happened for women to actually main event WrestleMania like it did. So that's why 35 actually surprised me being my number 2.
2 titles on the line there in
That's
that
right.
match.
Becky 2 belts.
What about this one, Ush? I mean, not hitting the nostalgia vein probably for you, but
I've never seen it.
okay. Well, there we go. Now we know.
It was
You
a
were
fun one.
not a part of Kofi Mania, huh?
No.
As mentioned, MetLife Stadium played host. 82,265 in
A lot of people,
attendance
really.
there. April 7th of 2019.
I'm always weary or leery about WrestleManias in the Northeast early April because you just don't know. You might get snow, like Philadelphia
Yeah.
night one. It was what 30 degrees. We had that weather forecast the whole time. It's just so iffy. That's why Las Vegas is almost a sure bet. Go where it's warm.
Bush, a little trivia question for you. So I just gave you the attendance total.
Yeah.
How many less people attended the following year's WrestleMania? If the total I
A
gave you,
lot less. Did they have 100 people in there? There's just like staff members, right?
we have the official attendance number at 0.
At
So,
0.
yeah, you're right. Good
Gotcha.
answer there. 82,265 less proclaimed there in the attendance because that was the COVID year where they had a lot of
I
the
appreciate them still keeping WrestleMania for all of us at home, not
Yeah.
knowing what to do, but that was not WrestleMania.
It was
It was tough.
pre-recorded
It was tough.
movie making there.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on as this Meltdown countdown is starting to wind down. Pavlick, where are we headed next?
We're gonna have fun with this one, Ush, because it is WrestleMania 3.
There we go.
It has to be, but for a few reasons. This was the largest, and it will always be the largest attendance for me. I know it's kind of like the Barry Bonds breaking the home run record. This will always be the attendance record, regardless. This will always be the biggest WrestleMania. They had the original WrestleMania. What a concept! Can we do it again? Yes. This time, let's do it in 3 locations at WrestleMania 2. Fine. But now we have the 2 biggest acts that we could ever have in pro wrestling at the time: Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant. Where are we going to put it? Detroit, Michigan, Pontiac Silverdome, 93,000 people. Every time, and I mentioned this on the show last time. I still think I have the record for the most times renting this from Premier Video at Perry Hill Road in Montgomery, Alabama, because this was my go-to WrestleMania. And that opening shot that shows that crowd every single time, I would rewind it just to look at that opening shot. And again, something about domes in the daylight when there is no big stage. It's just that one little entrance that probably the monster trucks came out of when it was up there at the Silverdome. And just, I don't know if it was 93,000. It's just a lot of people. I don't care how much it was. Nothing like that had ever been seen in North American wrestling before. So they also had the little ring cars that brought them to the ring. That was the greatest thing. Now we have all these spectacles, and there'd be no way Jey Uso would take a little ring car to the road. But we need the ring cars one more year. That's all I'm asking.
with you.
Just those little cars. It was actually because Andre said, "Screw this! I'm not walking to the ring." It's a long way to go
long
50
walk.
yards there. But this was the first time, like, you had celebrities at 1 and 2, but now you're getting celebrities truly involved, and the celebrities included Bob Uecker. And Bob sat in on commentary, and you think he was great in Major League and the Milwaukee Brewers. He was born for wrestling too, and it was just so fun to hear him interact and be on the microphone. And then there were so many personal highlights, including the mixed tag match. 2 big guys and their 2 midget friends. And
Reference
we say
on
midget.
today's pennant, Grace.
We say midgets because they were called midgets then, and it was midgets wrestling. It was King Kong Bundy and his tag team partners, Lord Littlebrook and Little Tokyo, versus Hillbilly Jim and his partners, the Haiti Kid and Little Beaver, which leads to the all-time greatest Bob Uecker comment in wrestling: "There's a lot of beaver all over this stadium," and we go from there. And it concludes with King Kong Bundy slamming and splashing Little Beaver. Just hilarity at its greatest. Pro wrestling, this is what it is. Then you have Roddy Piper and his retirement match, 1987. Funny. But this was amazing because it led to the birth of Brutus the Barber, Beefcake, cutting the hair of Adrian Adonis. Piper would leave to go to Hollywood, where he would film 2 classic movies. Do we know these?
They live.
And
Hell Comes Frogtown.
thank you very much, Ush. We would not see Roddy Piper again for 2 years because he was busy filming iconic movies. And then you had the greatest wrestling match on North American soil, which was Randy Savage and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. A personal favorite moment of mine on this whole thing: there was Jake the Snake Roberts versus Honky Tonk Man. But who did Jake have in his corner? No, not just Damien. Alice freaking Cooper. Are you kidding me? As Jesse Ventura says, you could look at Alice. He hasn't been in the weight room much lately. I mean, but you had Alice and Jimmy Hart and just these iconic Southern Territory wrestlers now mixed with rock legend Alice Cooper.
I love
Just
that
so
Alice
good.
Cooper brought the snake out.
Oh, he handled Damien like it was his business. It was amazing. He did go through. And then there's the infamous random throwaway match of the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov versus the Killer Bees. If you've ever seen the Iron Sheik's rant on B. Brian Blair about how he'll make him humble,
Yeah.
but not safe for children or work or really this world. But this is the match that happens. Google Iron Sheik, make him humble, and then wonder what happened here.
Do you agree with this one being top of the charts?
Yeah, it's made me a fan, and you can't. It's difficult to overstate its importance, not only for the WWF and wrestling in general, but for pay per view.
Yes.
It was such a big event for pay per view, and it just took things. Things were going so well, and this is just one of those things that just took it to a higher level and probably had an impact on everything they did, their
Yep.
TV deals, their marketing, anything like that. And Hulk and Andre was the ultimate main event.
And there's Hulk and Andre, and the match itself is not the best. It's not. It's just two over hulking, if you will, personalities. But with the iconic, just the shot of the two of them just staring at each other, and Hulk staring up, and Andre just menacing looking down. And even when he picks him up to slam him, you could just tell how big Andre is. And that picture alone, Hulk was always a big guy, and it's evident in Rocky and all these other things, but Andre just being massive at this point. So even for him, even if Andre's like, I'll pick myself up in a sense, for Hulk to slam him and that ovation. My only quip about WrestleMania 3, I wish that was more in the daylight so you could see the actual crowd just explode. You could hear them, but there you go. And the one other thing in the pictures, the cameras, the lights of the camera bulbs. We just miss that in society these days.
Yeah.
And those iconic sports moments just
And
flash.
you have Gorilla and Jesse Ventura on commentary. It's just a great duo, and a lot. Just that alone does a lot for the nostalgia. Again, I love. They did it in 6 too. I love the little ring
Ring carts.
carts taking
Beautiful.
them to the ring. It's just like
Yeah.
a cool little moment that
Made
made
it shine with that move.
it made him. It made it
Jim Ross.
feel big and different.
Look, this is a good one. If we were going through biggest WrestleMania moments of all time, I think Hulk slamming Andre is right there in the discussion for number one, if
Yeah.
not the clear number one. So good stuff there, Pavlick. Appreciate
Tried
you
my
very
best,
much.
man.
Thank you for this Meltdown Countdown, laying the smackdown here on the Meltdown. Ush, I think
Tim?
it was a good cash in. I appreciate you replacing EG. She had nothing to add.
Yeah, her
Pathetic.
time, her
Pathetic.
time is over. My
Yeah.
time is now.
That is correct. Tyler, thank you so much, my friend. We are headed off to see Sinners, which we are
Happy Holy Week.
we are now conflicted about. But we will talk about it tomorrow on the show and then have that spoiler review for you this weekend. Don't forget mybookie.ag. That's where you need to head on over to bet on anything, anywhere, anytime. They're at mybookie.ag. Use promo code next round for that first time deposit bonus. Up to $1,000, 50% deposit bonus there at mybookie.ag, and that $10 casino chip when you use promo code next round. That is going to do it for us here on the Meltdown, unless there's something else, Tyler, that you need to get off your chest.
I do have something to get off my chest. I put up a video just before the show. It's our reaction to the brand new Fantastic Four
Yes.
First Steps trailer. So go check that out for your viewing pleasure and all the other trailer reactions we've recorded. And be on the lookout for all our out of the theater reactions tonight.
I love it.
How about that?
That's
I tell you what, that Human Torch better not be a womanizer, or I will be offended.
that's how we're going to end the show. We'll see you again tomorrow.